Hey everybody, I'm going to give you a little lesson in chords. It's mostly for beginners because it's just going to be simple major chords that are probably the first ones that you learn upon starting. Now for those of you who don't know what a chord is essentially a cluster of notes in a certain pattern that are played at exactly the same time. Now every single guitarist knows at least one chord. It doesn't matter whether it's the easiest chord in the book, which could be anything, and it's debatable what one that is. It could be the hardest chord in the book. But regardless, everybody knows a chord. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you some basic major chords. Okay, so we're going to start off by doing probably the first chord that everybody learns, and that's the A major. Okay, so obviously make sure your guitar's in tune first. It's in standard tuning, so it should be E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay, so first of all, to do an A major chord, what you don't want to do is see the top string up here, the low E. You don't want to play that string. Forget that one. All you want to be focusing on is the other 5 strings. So the top E, forget it. Take it off, I don't care. But save yourself some money and just don't play it. So what you're doing, A major sounds like this. Okay, and to play A major, how you do A major is the 5th string, that's the A string here, open. You don't put any fingers on the fretboard at all for that one. That ring's open. And then you go up to the 2nd fret on the D string, which is this one, and keep going until you hear this noise. Okay, and keep your finger there. Next you go to the same fret, but on the G string, which is directly above it. Okay, and then again directly above it on the B string, and again with the high E string, just completely open, and you just strum. You just play all 5 strings together. Remember, you're not hitting the low E string. It's just the A straight down, and it's every string from there. So it should sound like this. Okay. So try strumming along to it. It can be a lot of people have a lot of fun. They learn the first chord, and all they do is strum that chord all day long. Okay. So now we know A major. Now we're going to go on to another really important chord called D major. And D major only uses the bottom 4 strings. So you're not using the low E, and you're not using the A. You're just using the one below that. All 4 ones below that. So D, the root note, is another open note here. It's the string that's 3rd closest to you. Okay, again, that's an open chord. That's an open note. Next, you go onto the string above it, which is the G, and you put your finger on the 2nd fret of the G. Okay. Then, once you've done that, you put your ring finger, and that's this finger here. You put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and finally, you put your middle finger, the finger you're rude to people with, on the 2nd fret of the high E string. And then you play the bottom 4 strings at the same time. Remember that D string is open, no fingers should be on it. So it should sound something like this. Okay? Now if you put that together, for example, we're going to come together with a wee chord progression here. I'm going to teach you 4 chords, and we'll make a wee chord progression here. So we started, our first chord we learned was the A major. That's this one. So your fingers should look a bit like this, if I can turn the guitar around a wee bit. Right. So your fingers should look like that. Should sort of like slant off a wee bit. So it should have a shape that looks like that. Okay? That's the way your fingers should look. You can, of course, if you want to be a very easy way of doing it, a very quick way of doing it. It doesn't sound so, it doesn't ring out as much, but what you can do is you can just simply bar straight across and play all the way down. but then again, it doesn't feel so. It doesn't sound so fresh. It doesn't ring out as nicely as each finger individually. See, and plus you remember you're putting, if you bar straight across, you're putting your finger on the E string, the high E string, like this, and that sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's not an E major chord anymore. So remember, just do like this. Each string, one string per finger. Okay. So there you go, and then D major afterwards. So you play like this. This is A major and D major. And you can just keep going with that all day long if you want. Okay, so now we know A major and now we know D major. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want you to show you E majors, and E major sounds something like this. Okay, so it's a rather, I always think E major for me is one of the more grand, more fuller chords that you can play on a guitar in standard tuning. Now, for E major, you're using every single string, every one of them. The root of E major is of course E. Okay, so the bottom, the low E string, that's the string that's closest to you. Again, being the root note and it's being an open string, it is open. You don't put any fingers on it at all. Okay, then you go up to the string above it, the A, and then you put your middle finger onto the second fret of the A string. Okay, and then you put your ring finger directly above it, same fret, second fret, on the D string. And then you put your index finger on the first fret of the G string. Okay, and you strum it all the way down, all 6 strings. Has a very rich, deep feeling and rather grand sound. So we put that all together, and so far we've got A major, we've got D major, and we've got E major. So now you can, that's the chord progression that you see in the song Wild Thing by the Chords. Because Wild Thing by the Chords is A major, D major, E major, D major again, right? So already you know a riff, you know a very good song riff. Okay, so next I'm going to teach you one more chord, and something and it's a chord that I really like. I really like this next chord. This is G major. Okay, and the root note obviously is G. Now G, you'll find G to do this on the 3rd fret of the E string, and the 3rd fret, the low E string, and that's this one here. Okay, so look for that one, and you use the middle finger for that one. Okay, then you move up to the A string, and then you put your finger on the 2nd fret, just like you did for the E major, just like that. Then you go all the way up, and you use your ring finger, and you put it on the 3rd fret. If I can show you, put it on the 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay, and again you're using all 6 strings for it. Okay, this is another very rich, full sounding chord, and I really like this one. Okay, now this is how G major should sound. Okay, and this is a very popular song, a chord to play on guitar. Every guitarist must know certainly these chords anyway. So if you put it all together, you've got A major, you've got D major, you've got E major, and you've got G major. So you could play it like a bit of a rhythm like this. Okay, so that's us. We already have a chord progression of A major, D major, E major, and G major. Okay, so that's a basic chord progression. There are some other really good open chords. For example, next chord that I'm going to show is C major. Now, C major, we're back to just restricting what strings we use. We're not using the low E, which is this one. Okay, we're not using that one. What we are doing is when we did G major, the root note was G, which is the third fret on the low E. But for C major, the root note is C, which is the third fret on the A string, which is so essentially we're going directly above the G. Okay, so that's the C, which is the root note of the C major chord. And next, once we've got the C, we go up to the next string, but we go back one fret and we put the middle finger on the second fret of the D string. Okay, then we skip over the G. We don't put anything on the G, that's open, and we put our index finger on the first fret on the B string. And again, the high E string just rings out completely true. The only string that doesn't get hit, remember, is the low E string. And so we basically just played the 5 strings that are below that one all the way through. And again, what I really like about that one, it does sound really grand and really wholesome. Plenty of chords that sound really full and really vibrant. My favourite is G major, which is this one. There's C major as well, and E major just oozes grandness, for want of a better term. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you F major. Okay, so F major, there's 2 different ways of doing this. Now you can basically do F, or you can do what some people call easy F. I usually just do F on its own, although sometimes I will do the easy F depending on the song. But the basic shape of F is similar to that of C major, but instead what you're doing is the note that's direct, again, your third fret but on the D string, which is the F. Okay, and then up to the second fret on the G with the middle finger, and then up to the first fret on the B, which is here. And again, you've just got the next string that rings out fully. You're not playing the low E, and you're not playing the A. So you're just playing the bottom strings. You can also, if you want to, put an easy F as well, which is basically you take this finger, the index finger here, and you do something called barring it. Now I'll go into bar chords a little later on in the next few videos, but barring is when you basically use the one finger to cover more than one note. Okay, and it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, but you can basically pull this finger down so that it covers not just the first fret on the B string, but also the first fret on the high E. So you get some. So this is normal. That's F major. But if you have easy F, you've got this. Oh, didn't sound right. So you've got a wee bit more chime, a little bit more sparkle with this extra F note there. Okay. So you've got F and you've got easy F. Now that is essentially the most basic chords you're going to learn. There is a B major chord, but it is a little bit more complicated, so I will do that in a later video. But just to start you off, those are the main chords you've got when you start out. So to run through what we've got A chord, A major, then you've got D major, then you've got E major, then you've got G major, C major, and F, or easy F if you want to call it. Okay, I think it's better if easy F is done, but there is another way of doing most of these chords, but that goes into more complicated things. We're talking like bar chords and things like that, power chords, and that's something I'll explain at another time. So what we can do is we can take some of those chords, and as I said already, we made some chord progressions earlier on, for which we made of A major, D major, E major, and G major. And then we can just play that. If we played that just in normal time, and change the rhythm as well. And have fun with all the chords. I mean, you can change it around. Just use what chords suit, you think sound good to you. I mean, for me, I use that chord progression all the time. A, D, E, and G. I use that chord progression all the time because it sounds fantastic. I think that sounds absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy it. So I hope if you've never really known much about chords at all, or if you're just starting off in guitar, I hope this has helped a lot. And be sure to check out my other videos as well, and leave any comments you like. If you've got any questions, then just leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer. Bear in mind that this one really is more for beginners, and we'll move on to more advanced stuff as the videos go on. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.